The biggest news to hit online marketers in a very long time is GDPR, or otherwise known as the General Data Protection Regulation. Now, it went into effect on May 25th. Websites need to be GDPR compliant. Now, whether you have a website, whether you are very well established in business or just getting started out, it's a really good idea that you are familiar with the basics of GDPR so you can ensure that your website is compliant, because it will save you a huge headache and a fine in the future. Now, you're probably wondering why something the European Union put into place, how that affects you if you're in North America. Well, any website, mailing list, membership site with subscribers from any country in the European Union must be GDPR compliant. So if you're doing any international business, your website must be GDPR compliant. There is a lot of information in the General Data Protection Regulation. However, I have some highlights I'd like to go over. I do recommend further reading with this because there's a lot of complex information in becoming GDPR compliant. But the highlights, the things that you really should be aware of. First thing, every site needs an SSL certificate. The difference between a site with one and without one, if you see HTTP at the top of the site, if it has an S after it, it has an SSL certificate. If it doesn't, it needs one. Every website needs to have a privacy policy. Now, this is pretty standard. Most websites do have a privacy policy. However, now it is something websites need to have. There needs to be a way for subscribers to request that their data is deleted. So they can just message you, email you, and say, hey, I'd like all my data deleted, please. Also, whether somebody wants their data deleted or not, subscribers or clients must be able to request what data you have at any time, just so they know what data you have on file, and that's upon their request. Now, clear consent must be given when offering a free download, such as a lead magnet, like a free ebook or an audio or any kind of information that you're offering for free to collect email addresses or any information. There needs to be clear consent. And if you want to add someone to your general mailing list, there needs to be clear consent. You cannot just automatically add someone who signs up for your freebie. You can't just put them on your general mailing list. There has to be consent. They have to give clear consent, and it has to be clear. They have to, check a checkbox and say, yes, I would like to receive general email updates, or however you word it. Now, it's a good time to review your current list and see what subscribers you have from the European Union, any countries in the European Union, and it's a good time to contact them and ask if they'd like to remain on your list. Just because they are on your list now, it's a good idea to just check with them, kind of having them re-opt in to ensure they like to remain on the list. And also, it's a great time to resend your privacy policy. The good news in all of this, actually the great news in all of this, is email list providers have been way ahead of the game on this one. They knew it was coming, so what they did was they added features to their software to easily separate European Union subscribers from the rest of your list, so you can get their consent. And also they've added checkboxes to opt-in forms for future lists. So it makes things a lot easier for you. And the big one, drum roll, WordPress released a new version on May 17th that includes some enhancements to ensure that the core software is GDPR compliant. So if you have not done a WordPress update since May 17th, it's time to do one. If you manage your website, if someone manages your website, it's a great time to reach out and contact them about ensuring that you are GDPR compliant. Now, I highly, like I mentioned at the beginning, I highly recommend that you do some further reading, and there are some links on our blog on the PMA website and a whole blog on GDPR, and there is also a link at the bottom of the blog. The last link that is listed is from Small Business Trends, and it is a fantastic infographic, especially if you're a visual thinker like I am. It helps you really understand everything involved in GDPR and becoming GDPR compliant. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line in our comment section. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to PMA Facebook Live. If you haven't already liked our page, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, and we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.